The teller's name was Amber, and I had known her for 11 years. So when she looked at her screen and went still, not the ordinary stillness of a transaction, but the stillness of someone managing a situation very carefully, I knew something was wrong. "Mr. Harris, could you give me just one moment?" She said my name twice in 30 seconds. I had been a CPA for 33 years. I knew what it looked like when someone was steering you toward a hard conversation. The branch manager, David Goodwin, walked me into his office and turned a monitor toward me. "At 8:47 this morning, someone withdrew the full balance from your personal checking account. $22,460. The slip bore what looked like your signature." He pulled up the security footage. A woman in a gray coat, dark hair pulled back. "My daughter, Constance Harris Beale." "She's not authorized on that account," I said quietly. "No, sir. The signature appears forged. The funds are frozen pending our fraud review." Frozen. I sat with that word for a long moment, because here is the part of this story that changes everything that follows. What my daughter didn't know, when she walked into that bank at 8:47 in the morning, was that 3 weeks earlier, I had already moved every real dollar I owned to a different bank entirely. That $22,460 wasn't my savings. It was bait. The exact amount I had decided I could afford to let her try to take, because I had known she was coming for weeks, and I had spent every one of them getting ready. My name is Walter Harris. I'm 67, and my daughter made the mistake every person who tries to steal from an accountant eventually makes. She assumed that because I was old and grieving, I wasn't paying attention. I am always paying attention. I'd run my own accounting firm in Memphis for 18 years before retiring. Numbers don't lie. That was the whole appeal of the profession, after growing up in a house where words rarely matched reality. My wife Patricia understood people the way I understood ledgers. She was a social worker for 26 years, and when she died suddenly of a heart attack in August, I lost the person who read human beings better than anyone I'd known. 7 weeks after her funeral, my daughter Connie started asking about my estate. Framed carefully, a friend whose parent died without a will, her husband Brian's experience in lending, casual mentions of what the house on Tanglewood Drive was probably worth now. My son James, who called me every week without fail and never once asked about money, had already warned me twice to be careful with her. I hadn't acted on it fast enough. By January, Connie was asking for my online banking login, just to help. I declined. In March, I came home early and found her at my desk in my study, not near the closet she claimed to be searching, but at my laptop, which she closed the second I walked in. I didn't say anything. I went home and did what I do. I checked everything. I found a login to my checking account at 2:47 in the morning, from an IP address in Germantown, where Connie lived. 4 minutes, no transaction, just someone confirming access, and a credit inquiry from January, a home equity application on my house, submitted in my name, blocked only because of a credit freeze I'd kept for years out of habit. An anomaly isn't a case, but I knew what I was looking at. I hired an estate attorney, Deborah Lyle, and laid it all out. She asked me directly, did I believe my daughter intended to move against my estate? "I believe she already is," I told her. Over the next 3 weeks, I moved fast and quiet. I dissolved the old joint accounts, built a trust naming my son James as sole beneficiary, transferred the house and my real savings to a new bank across town, and I left the Union Avenue account open, with exactly $22,460 sitting in it. Bait, dressed as an ordinary balance. I called the bank's fraud department myself, gave them the account number, and told them exactly what I expected to happen. 3 weeks later, she walked in and took it. I filed a police report that same afternoon. The case went to the Financial Crimes Division, to a detective named Sandra Pruitt, and I brought her everything. 14 months of dated notes, the IP logs, the credit inquiry, a full timeline I'd built the way I'd built financial records my entire career. "You prepared this yourself," she said. "Documentation isn't something I do when I need to. It's something I do as a matter of course." She asked why I hadn't come forward back in March, the first time I found the login. "Because in March I had an anomaly," I said. "In October I had a case." I called James from the parking lot and told him everything. The bank, the trust, the 3 weeks of planning. He was quiet, listening the way he does. Then, "How long have you known?" "Since March." I didn't want to tell you until I was certain. Are you okay? I'm clear, I said. That's what's available right now. The investigation ran 11 weeks. Digital forensics confirmed Connie had used my credentials from that March visit to monitor my balance for 7 months. Her phone held a notes app tracking my account day by day. The final entry logged 49 minutes before she walked into the branch. Balance as of this morning, $22,460, moving today. She never knew about the calendar reminder I'd set myself 3 weeks earlier, never knew about the fraud flag or the new account quietly holding what the old one was supposed to. She'd spent 8 months watching a number on a screen, and she never once considered that the building she walked into was waiting for her. She was charged with theft, forgery, and criminal simulation. Her husband Brian, once the texts and emails surfaced, hired his own lawyer and called his involvement general awareness. The detective had a very dry opinion about that phrase. Connie pleaded guilty in April, full restitution, a suspended sentence, 5 years probation, a permanent record. I didn't feel triumph when I heard. I felt the particular stillness of something being over rather than still unfolding, which is a different kind of quiet altogether. My son came down that spring, and we sat on the back porch going through Patricia's old garden notebooks, trying to identify a plant she'd grown along the south fence. She said the birds like it in fall, James told me. It wants less water than you'd think. We found the page. She'd written it herself, precise even in the margins. We talked about Connie once that weekend, for about 15 minutes. She should have known you better, James said. She knew me 33 years ago, I told him. She never updated the information. The garden is doing better now, not what Patricia had. I don't have her instinct, but better. In October, the birds came back to the south fence exactly like her notes said they would. She built that garden not for the moment she was in, but for the one after she was gone. I built my documentation the same way, 33 years of professional habit, aimed at the most personal situation of my life. The record was the record, and in the end, the record was mine. If someone in your family assumed you weren't paying attention, would they have been right?